Hey guys, today is September the 1st. Wow, 2022. I want to go over the US dollar. This is going to be my September update. You guys know in my last update on August, I had a target of 113 and I had a trend line and all that. I'm going to be showing you all that stuff, all the stuff I'm watching on the dollar. So if you're trading the euro, this is the reverse of the euro. Chances are it could probably even push lower and also may affect gold. So without any further delay, let's get into it. This is a weekly chart, and I'm using data from 2000 of June all the way to current prices right now. And what I see are three cycles. One is the 180 weekly cycle. The next one is the 397 cycle. And the last one is the 230 cycle. The 230 cycle is not as strong as the 180, and the 397 is not as strong as the 180, but I'm going to show you them so like that you kind of see what the cycles are showing on the weekly cycle, on the weekly chart. So this is the 180, and if we zoom in, you can see that we start hitting a peak somewhere around the last week of October, first week of November, and then the cycles start going down. You can see that the correlation is not that bad. It's kind of there, especially when the swing low kicked in and now we're hitting a top. So we're getting very toppy with the dollar if the 180 cycle is going to play out on the weekly chart. The next one is the 397, and this one goes out into the future. Hits a peak around January of 2024. So this one continues going further into the future. Now, if the 180 cycle doesn't affect the dollar and doesn't pull it down and it continues trending higher and pushing higher, then we have to consider this 397 may be affecting the dollar, and that's why it's strong going to the upside. The last one is the 230 cycle. This one hits a peak somewhere around October. You could say maybe the last week of October. It's a peak and then it starts going down. And that's for 2023 right there of next year. So if we take the 180 and do a composite with the 230, this is what you kind of get. A peak somewhere around February of 2023. If you take the 180 and do a composite with the 397, you'd be getting a peak somewhere around December of this year into January of next year. So those are your two composites using those three cycles. Now we're going to go to the daily chart and see what we could dissect there. Okay, guys, so this is the DX futures. I don't know if I mentioned it earlier when I started recording, but this is the DX futures, and I'm using data. This is a daily chart. I'm going back to 2015. You know, I like to use at least 5 years. When I use a weekly, I like to use more data. And when it comes to the daily, at least 5 years. Anything lower than 5 years, I feel like it's not really great, in my opinion, you know, and forecasting, whatever. But at least 5 years, you know, I always stick with Gann's kind of mindset, you know, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, that kind of thing. I see that I get better results. So I just wanted to pass on that tip. So I'm using data from 2015 to current prices right now, and we're here dancing around 109. And mind you, these are closes. There are two cycles that are important here. One is a 395, and the other one is a 322. The 322 seems like it's a little stronger, but then the 395 in regards to Bartel, in regards to Bartel, it's a little weaker, the 395. The 322 is stronger in regards to strength, and also the Bartels is pretty good, 76.55. So let's start with the really good strong one, which is a 322. So on the daily cycle, we're about to hit a peak somewhere around September the 21st. Wow, equinox, or the change of season. 21st, 22nd, that's when the cycle peaks and the cycle starts going down. Will it affect the dollar? That remains to be seen, but at least you have an idea of what could possibly happen. One thing I learned from, have you ever heard of Rick Rule? He says there's always the probability. It's my favorite word. I sometimes forget to use it, but there's a probability, a great chance that maybe the dollar could turn. And you already saw my weekly chart. So on the daily, that's that. On the next one is a 395. That one already turned. You can see in May, but these are the two best cycles, and this one looks like it hasn't really. I mean, if you look at the price action, it looks like it was gonna just start going down, making lower highs and lower lows, and continue going down. But then it got a nice thrust to the upside. So if we take these two, these are like the best ones, and do a composite, you merge them together. The correlation, is good, is 0.57. We hit a peak already on August around the 2nd. The first week of August hit a peak using a composite, and now the cycles are down. Now, you can see that price action is still going higher if we just take the composite out and just use the 322. You see that hits a peak somewhere around the 21st, 22nd of September. Now we're going to go to our next clip. Okay, here, this is US dollar seasonality charts. Percent of months in which the US dollar closed higher than it opened from 2003 to 2022. You see I'm using a 20-year, and you can see that November is actually pretty strong. So on the daily, we're kind of topping out in September. October, it's kind of flat, just a little bit. And November is strong, and December is really weak. Now we go to a 10-year. Let's see what we got there. 10-year, you see that, 11. One more. 10-year, you can see that September is a little stronger. And October and November are pretty strong, using a 10-year average. 10-year, and let's go to the 5-year and see what we get there. 5-year, October is kind of flat. September is pretty strong. You can see August is pretty strong too. November is pretty strong, and then there's no data for December. And if we go 20 years and we go straight back to 1990 to 2009, you can see that November is pretty strong. Going down the years, I'm just trying to see something. November's pretty strong. November's pretty strong. November's pretty strong. November's pretty strong. November's still strong. Yep. So November's pretty strong, overall. And then December's a little weaker. So that's on my first chart of seasonality. We'll go to the next clip on seasonality and see what we could dissect there. Hey guys, so here is another seasonality chart that I use and I look at. So year to date, and this is, the data hasn't updated yet. It's showing the last date of August 24th, around there. But roughly, we could still work with this, kind of show you what the averages are. So we'll start with the 15-year average. You can see that on the 15-year averages, it says it dips around August the 25th, hits a peak September 9th, pulls back September 16th, and continues going higher October 3rd. And it's just making higher highs and higher lows using the 15-year average. Using the 10-year average, kind of like a dip on August, somewhere around September 2nd. Kind of reminds me of gold, remember? I was kind of thinking that gold was going to go up to the first week of September and then sell off. That didn't happen. It just sold off even earlier. So it says it pulls into September the 16th, which is higher. September 16, possible swing low if we get really toppy on the 2nd, the first week of September. And then it pushes higher into October. The first week pulls back somewhere around October 18, and then rallies. And remember, November was really strong. So somewhere around in mid-October, the dollar is just going to go buck wild and it's going to shoot higher, according to the seasonality on on a 10-year average. So that all remains to be seen. But I'm just kind of giving you a glimpse of what maybe could play out using probability, but not guaranteed, as you know that the goal play or game plan strategy game plan trading the seasonality, that didn't work out. That way you know not to put all your eggs in one basket. Now using the 5-year, you can see that we let's see, kind of go sideways here, and you know that the dollar is really pushing up. So somewhere around the first, second, it gets toppy, pulls back, and finds some kind of support somewhere around September 15, shoots up to like October 6, goes sideways, maybe October 18 finds some support. And November looks like it's always been a strong month for the dollar. So on the 5-year average, it's a peak somewhere around November the 10th. This kind of looks like a slow, grind higher. Put all of them together, and this is what you get within the averages. So somewhere around the November 10th all the way to November 22nd, 23rd, it gets toppy, and then it looks like it kind of goes sideways and it starts dwindling lower. So that's it for seasonality. Let's go to our next clip. Okay, so this is my trading view chart. You can see that from the high, somewhere around, what that high is, 129. You can say like 130. I'm pivoting a trend line there. And you can see that we are very close. This is a weekly chart. And we're about to enter the supply zone where there's a lot of supply there. If we expand this a little more, put this on auto, drag this down a little bit. I can. Maybe I can't. Let's see. I'll open this up a little bit more. Okay, so this is where we're at right here. So you see that line right there? That's that trend line. We haven't kissed it yet. And you can see that these are Hikanashi candles. So the trend is up. We have a buy signal. I mean, it's been in buy mode. You can see that the MACD is getting kind of choppy and, on the weekly. It's still positive, but you can see the momentum is, and that's because a lot of things now on the daily are starting to get toppy, especially for the daily chart in September. But I have a couple of targets. I mean, it could get choppy here. I have a target of 113. Will it get there? I don't know. Maybe it'll stall on this trend line and fight and then turn. But if it's really strong, it's going to fight above this trend line and then start penetrating the supply zone, which starts at 111. And if it starts pushing there, the Fibonacci is the 78.6. That's that 113. The reason why I got 113 is because there's another Gann technique I use that number pops out at me, and it just happens to coincide with the 780, Fibonacci level. And then this is the top of the parallel channel that, just in case, it just wants to keep chugging along, then this is going to be another level to keep an eye on if we ever get to kiss this level up here. And then obviously it will be the top, which would be 121 of the supply zone. And then it will probably push higher into, 130 if it wants to continue going. But I just wanted to show you what's going on there. On the daily, real quick, let's see if there's anything there. Yep, it's still in buy mode since June the 13th. So a lot of people thought that this was the high. It pulled back, never got a sell signal, even though the MACD crossed over, and it's still pushing higher. So the dollar's strong. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Now let's go to the next clip. Okay, so here is my Elliott wave chart that I use. And what this is indicating is that we just did a 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're working on a wave 5, which we are working right now. And here are a couple of projections targets for wave 5. First one will be this 112, which kind of lines where I'm thinking 113. This is indicating 112. And if it wants to really push higher and stronger, then you have a projection line of wave 5 all the way up to like 126. So let's see, and these are my Stokes. You can see that it's still strong. There's a cycle I have here of 88, on the daily. And you can see that it peaks somewhere around December. Something separate that I use. Let's put this back on Stokes. One thing I wanted to show you is the targets and the linear regression channels. You can see that we're strong here. Looking at the, mind you, I got data going all the way to 2000. It was kind of hard to get data on the futures. The daily that I got was really, the data was like really dirty. So the weekly kind of was a little better. So you can see that there is a target here, and we just blew right through it, and we were at 106 to that 107. The next target was a 112 all the way to 113, and there was a projection 5 wave of 112. So between 112, 113, pretty much that's the target that I have. Mind you, the linear regression channels it's pushing to the upside. Everything looks bullish. I need to work on this chart a little more. Timing wise, something is showing up as October the 28th. So remember the last week of October, a lot of things are lining up. And also somewhere around November the 24th. So those are hot dates. You want to keep an eye on the dollar. But so far, it's strong and it's good, and we're reaching very close to a peak. You just have to wait for price action to confirm it. But right now, it's still strong. And mind you, this is the weekly chart. We're gonna go to the last clip, which is the master chart, and we'll end this video there. Okay, so this is my master chart. And I'll show you a few things here. So this is my Gann square. As you can see, this is going back to this high, like 120 and change, and just swing low somewhere around 70-ish. I expand the Gann square. We have different ways of doing it. This is the way I do it. No right or wrong. This is just the way I do it. Do the 1/4, and you can see that the 1/4 right here, we're battling out. We're above it right now. Then we have the 1/8 coming up there, which is this line right here. So this is the 1/4. 1/4, 1/8 is right there. And then you have the 1/6 overlay. This is the 1/6 overlay. This would be your next target, which indicates 112. So you see, it's kind of, the 1/6 is lining up with the 113 that I have. And if it continues going higher, the 1/4 would be the 114. So anywhere between 114, 12, 113. To me, that's going to be resistance on the dollar. You already know the weekly cycles, where they're getting toppy. October, the daily cycles are, September, seasonality wise and everything. So these are kind of just levels that I'm watching. And then the 1/6 in regards to timing, there's something coming up around 923. We do the pitchfork. You can see that we're about to kiss this level right up here. Where we get there, that's going to be like 111, depending, what date it hits. Now I like to go, sometimes fractal. I like to put that there, but if I put that there, it's going to be really close, and I think it's going to have a little more upside. So that's why I put my pitchfork over here. But it's between here and here that I will like narrow it down to see where it's going to be resistance. Let's take that out of the way, and let's go into the annual and decimal and all this other stuff that I watch. Let's see if we could zoom in a little bit here. Okay, so let's open this up a little bit. There's a lot right here. So you see this line right here? This is 10 years ago price action. You can see that we hit a high somewhere around July the 25th, and 10 years ago, this is what the price action did. It sank around 916, 914. As you can see, price action is going up, so there's not really a correlation there. So this line right here is the decimal 10-year decade average seasonality, and you see that it peaked somewhere around August the 19th, and it goes down all the way to September the 16th. And, this is the seasonal yearly, and we peak somewhere around here, which is kind of lining up with this one. If I was to take that one off and just do the annual, I colored it in yellow, you can see that it gets peaked. It hits a peak somewhere around maybe the first, second week of September, and it pulls back down. And then it kind of goes up and it hits a peak somewhere around November. So using the Astros, it says that somewhere between October, November, December, it's very hot for a possible change of trend. So that's one you want to keep an eye on. We already know on the weekly, October, gets really peaked, hits a peak, and on the daily, September hits a peak. So September 21st, 22nd. So those are things you want to keep an eye on. Using a spectrum analysis on this software I did a composite, and it's already showing, if I put this up here, that we already hit a peak using June 11th, and that the cycles are down. So this one is very early. The ones I showed you using the other spectrum and the Bartels and strength is showing on the daily, it's showing September 21st. This one uses a different algorithm in regards to relative strength, so it's not using closes. The other one uses closes. This one using relative strength setting. So that's that. This is the Astro Sun cycle. So this is what it's showing. Possible top around the 8th, pull back down, and then a possible real top around November 17th. That remains to be seen. The turbo cycle hit a peak already somewhere around August 20th, and then it finds a low somewhere around October the 5th. I just have it there just to see what it looks like. And then in regards to Bradley dates, this is another model that I sometimes, look at. So hot dates for September would be this one right here, 9/11, which, it's a Sunday. I think on my last video on Chemical, it says Saturday. It's a Sunday, but it's a hot day in regards to the astro trading. But especially for Chemical, that is going to be a tipping point. So for those that follow Chemical, if it pulls back in, fills in that gap, and then it starts going up, and we start hitting November 11th, that's when I think the possible turn is going to be happening that week. Another day you want to watch for gold would be September 18th. Looks like that's a Sunday, so anywhere between Friday. Actually, if it's a Sunday, I'll probably lean more towards Monday. So the 19th. And another hot date to keep an eye with the Bradley model will be the 23rd, which is a Friday. And then the next one will be October 1st, which would be a Sunday. So it'll probably lean more towards Monday, which would be the 2nd. I think that's it for the dollar. The last things I want to say is that I think it has more upside. And once we get to like 113, and if it even wants to go higher, just look at the cycles I gave you and just look for strong volume to the downside. Like a big kicker bear candle. And that could maybe give you clues that a possible swing high could be in play. Hopefully you like this video. I'll keep you posted on the dollar using WD price and time technical analysis.